Hey guys, I hope everyone's keeping well. So tonight what I'm going to be talking about is season 8 of the TV show Game of Thrones, and I'm pretty much going to be mainly focusing on episode 4 and episode 5. Now just firstly, my favourite character in Game of Thrones is 100% Tyrion Lannister, absolute legend. And my next favourite would probably be the Hound, and I also love Daenerys, so they would be my three favourite characters. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the direction of Daenerys' character, which I didn't really like how fast they took her character and how quickly they changed it. But one thing I will say is I do understand for a number of reasons why, she sort of went off the rails. Her father, ruled the Seven Kingdoms and, of course, he went mad. And I just felt like, as I say, our character was very rushed. I mean, we had 1 minute this whole lovey-dovey storyline that was going on between Dany and Jon Snow. And then the next thing in episode 4, she's being, really horrible to him. And I just kind of thought, as if you were watching, if she truly loved him and she really trusted him, then she would have stepped aside. But she went crazy because she lost Miss Sandy, she lost her advisors. And when she looked over at the Red Keep on her dragon, in episode 5, that would have definitely brought up a huge amount of family memories. And of course she knew that Sansa, Jon's sister, would never have accepted her as queen. And then of course, she found out, as like what I would call like a last minute sort of twist that was thrown in. She found out that Jon Snow was the rightful heir. And I think, to be honest, the girl had just had enough. And to be honest, let's face it, guys, she went through an awful lot to get to where she's got, you know what I mean? So you have to sort of understand that as well. Something I did really love, since I do love my Tyrion Lannister, is that, he did even try telling Daenerys, he was advising her and saying, what you're doing is what your father was doing. And, her father ruled in fear. And you're going to be ending up ruling in fear, so you shouldn't really be doing that sort of thing. And I just kind of thought that Daenerys' character in season 8 was based on cheap writing. I mean, we knew she was a strong woman, a strong ruler, since season 1 to season 7, she came across as a very strong woman. She went through a lot and she kept getting back up, no matter what, she kept getting back up. That was a character that we all loved. And she became an icon to women. And I mean, she even, inspired, people go to Comic-Con dressed as her. People wanted to dye her hair to look like her, even though it's a wig that she's wearing. She was very inspiring. And that's how you would do, a strong female character in the right way. But in these episodes, season 8, she changed way too quickly. But the 5th episode, I thought, was good, guys. I did think it was a good episode. It wasn't amazing, but it was good. In the sense that she went completely off the rails. I liked that direction that they took. But I felt that they should have shown her character going mad way earlier, because it just seemed too out of place and too sort of fast to go about it that way. Which to me, as a viewer, this would have allowed to give me more time to see her unravel if they had have introduced this earlier. I can understand though why people are getting annoyed, because her character was built up to be the rightful heir and, she came across as a good person. But then the added, that twist I was saying earlier about Jon Snow being the true heir to the throne. And I'll be honest, I just thought that Jon Snow already had enough depth to his character as it was. And this is coming from someone, guys, just to let you know, I haven't actually read the books A Song of Ice and Fire. So, this is just my opinion as someone who watches the show itself. Now, another example for me for Daenerys' character being too quick a change would be, the scene when she told Sam about the death of his father and his brother. That seemed kind of off for her character and too rushed. It didn't seem like her, like poor Sam hadn't did anything wrong, and it was the way she went about it. And also the Hound in episode 4, right, he's a very fearless character, right? He comes across, always been a fearless character, right? And he was standing like an absolute coward in a corner. I mean, that made no sense to me. What was that all about? And it also seemed as well, in that same episode, from the build-up to it, that we were going to get to see a fight-off between the Night King and Jon Snow. At least that's how I thought it was going anyways. But then we didn't. And not only that, I think Jon should have been the one to have got the kill, but Arya did. And I mean, at the very least, you know, I'd have been happier even if they had it where Arya was maybe helping Jon. You know, I think I would have accepted that a bit better, but that's just my opinion. You know, and in saying that, twists have worked well in the past for Game of Thrones, but I think this time round, I think it was a bit of a bad choice and a bit of bad writing. Also, Jon Snow, you know, as well, I noticed, is direwolf, right? He didn't even go over to him and give him a kiss or a hug. What was that all about? Something I'm going to touch on is, I'm sure, something that quite a few people are probably annoyed about. But I've been staying away from any Game of Thrones videos, so I haven't watched anybody's videos really. But cinematography wise, I thought episode 4 was way too dark. It really was. You know, they always say winter is coming. Yeah, I think it was more darkness is coming, and they should have had that as a thing coming up at the start so that we knew we were going to be getting quite a lot of darkness. And at times it was hard to see when I was actually watching. But I felt the storyline with Jaime Lannister, where he left Cersei and then he returned to her. Is it just me, guys? Did anybody else find that a bit dopey? But I loved how Tyrion, gosh, love him, honestly. He's so cute. He was always trying to help and do the right thing. And he just keeps trying to help his brother. And it's just so sweet. And Tyrion is such an amazing character. And you want to know what? He is such an amazing actor. And I am so glad he got the part as playing as Tyrion, because he is absolute freaking amazing. He is a legend, right? Now I want to go back to talking about Daenerys, right? Daenerys, I think they would have been better having it where she went off the rails a bit earlier, and then maybe even had, say, Jon Snow try to reel her back in. I would have preferred to have seen that. To me, I understood why she went mad though in episode 5, right? She went completely nuts. But the only negative thing is that although I liked what they were trying to do with her character, because it's fairly obvious that she was going to go mad at some point. It was obvious that that's where this season was going. But it fell flat because it was way too rushed. I mean, the woman's been through a lot, so I mean, she was bound to go crazy at some point, you know. And one thing I didn't like was the fight between the Mountain and the Hound. Now, it was okay at the start. It was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty cool. But the whole gouging of the eyes and, you know, just that whole part to me just seemed a wee bit dopey, but that is only my opinion. Now, what I also wanted to say about Daenerys Targaryen is, right, remember, guys, when one of her dragons burnt a child and she then trained her dragons? Okay, so she went from that to just burning everything, just going, you know, out and out crazy, right? And in such a fast direction too, let's remember. It's a really bad taste for the writers. I honestly think they were all just sitting in a room one day and they all just said to each other, do you know what we'll do? We'll just quickly just have her character go just outright mad, you know, because that'll work for the fans. But I do understand how in episode 5, Daenerys, she was able to take out the Iron Islands ships because, let's face it, she was more tactical and less blindsided than when she went in the last time. So, you know, she'd thought that out. And then she had to take out the defences and make an opening for the soldiers. So, you know, there was nothing there left where they could have killed her dragon. So at that stage, let's face it, she'd single-handedly won. But the whole episode, right, I don't know if this is just me, but I was shouting at my TV. I was literally freaking shouting at my TV, and I was actually talking like I was talking to Daenerys, and she was actually a real person. I was actually shouting at Emilia Clarke, guys. I was going, Daenerys, why are you sitting on your dragon? Why don't you just go over to the Red Keep that you've been friggin' well looking at, and you're staring at it? Why don't you just take your dragon over and burn Cersei? I can't remember what it is she says. Is it Decrelos? I can't remember. And I was right. But that's what I was shouting at the TV. I was like, why don't you just go over and burn the woman? My goodness. Instead of burning everything else. But anyways, let's remember, this is where I want to finish off this video. Let's remember it is Game of Thrones that we're watching, guys. It's Game of Thrones. You're never going to get what you want 100%, right? You're always left with those seasons never liking something. But because it's the final season, I can understand where people are coming from, right? And I honestly, personally think myself that they should have laid way off a good lot on doing all that and just sort of leaving it that way. Why not just go to yourselves? Why didn't they go to themselves, right? It's the final season. let's make it end a bit better for the fans. They kind of have it going off where you would almost think there's another season coming out, and there isn't, you know. But my guess is I don't think the season's going to end very well, and I would rather they had spent even an extra year or so working on season 8, but also making a few more episodes in order for them to have sort of explained things a bit better in a better way, and not have it feel so like panicked. It felt panicked and rushed, and like, you know, the writers were on and directors were on like a tight time schedule or something, or they maybe were told, right, you have to have it out, you know, at this stage, and they've maybe went, well, we don't really have time, so what will we do? We'll just go full on out here and just, you know, have a character go in a direction that's too fast and have things happen that fans are going to be questioning and things like that. And with Daenerys, let's remember, she was abused by her brother. She had to watch her brother be melted. She went through traumatic things. She really, really did. And, you know, she wanted to become the true heir, and think of everything from season 1 that woman has actually, you know, been through. So I think it's more than understandable that Daenerys went crazy, but as I keep saying, I do feel that from a writer's standpoint for this show, I mean, again, as I say, I haven't read the books, but I just feel that regardless of whether I go out and buy the books and read them, as if you're watching the show, it was way too rushed. I don't know. I don't think it's the best season that they've done. I really don't. It would probably be my least favourite. However, there is a lot of, you know, good things about it. Things that I did like. I mean, visually, you know, when Daenerys and Jon Snow were both on a dragon, one of her dragons, each of them, and they were sort of flying around the dragons and that, and they were enjoying themselves, and then they stopped and they were by like this lovely waterfall and the whole snowy mountains and everything. Like, I am absolutely obsessed with snow, things like that. You know, there was a lot of, you know, great moments, but it's just a bit disappointing because it did fall short from a writer's standpoint, I honestly believe. So that is my thoughts, some of my thoughts anyway. There's lots of other things that I'm kind of a wee bit questionable about in regards to the other things. Even season 7, I have, you know, things that I could easily talk about, but I don't want this video to be too crazy long, guys. But that's just some of my thoughts and some issues that I had with this season 8 of Game of Thrones. What do you guys think on this season, and what is your you know, opinions and everything? Let me know in the comments. And aside from that, guys, yeah, the darkness definitely came cinematography wise. But yeah, I will see you all in my next video, and don't forget that the Force will be with you always. Bye, guys.